let's talk about using an iPad as your main device. I know Apple has done this, this campaign about iPad as what's a laptop, iPad, use the iPad, blah, 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 use the iPad as your only device, forget a laptop, what's a laptop, even though it's their biggest market share after iPhones. But how easy is it to make an iPad your only device? Let's get into today's video. We're going to talk about it. So I have, as you guys all know, a handy dandy 2018 MacBook Pro. iPad Pro. So it's got 512 gigs of storage, a USB-C port, not Thunderbolt. I know, I'm equally sad. Yeah, so let's talk about it. So the first thing I did to make it seem much more laptop-y and possibly a replacement for my laptop is to get a good keyboard. Now there's a lot of different keyboards. You can get a Logitech Folio, you can get just an Apple Folio keyboard. There's all these cheap keyboards, but for me, I want to be able to use a mouse and I want to use a trackpad, and so I kind of went big. Of course, you don't have to do this, but I went big. So let me grab that keyboard. This is the Magic Folio keyboard by Apple. It's a full keyboard and mouse pad on a lovely mount with a side-mounted USB port for charging. This is about as close as you can get to a laptop replacement with an iPad. If you have an M1 iPad, like my roommate, you actually have the power to do it. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the M1 iPads have a Thunderbolt port, which means they can push basically any resolution display, up to 6K. So, that means you can take your iPad, plug it into a monitor, and it just works. Let's talk about the actual using experience, because I mean, anyone can buy an iPad and hook it up to a monitor, and it just works. So, here, of course, you've got your home screen, whoop-de-doo, and your apps and your app store. But how practical is it? Well, honestly, if you're not doing much, it's actually great, especially if you have the 13-inch iPad. If you have the 13-inch iPad, it works much better. If you have cellular, it works even better, because you never lose that connection. You can always keep going. But what I've found is having a keyboard that's this well integrated and just shuts like that is great. My old keyboard, it would work, but this was down here, level with the keyboard, and had a foot that stuck off the back, so you couldn't just put it in your lap. This is so well balanced when it's sitting in your lap that you can just use it, and it just sits there and works, and it's a beautiful typing experience. It's a nice keyboard. It works really well. And of course, having Face ID doesn't hurt just to unlock it. But let's talk about portability. So I mean, obviously it's a lot more portable than a laptop. If you have the 13-inch, it's getting up there in size, you know what I mean? But it's quick, it's portable. I mean, having a laptop and having an iPad with a keyboard this thin is honestly pretty insane. Let's rack focus this to maybe focus on the iPad. Yes, as you can see, I mean, this is, focus, you dingbat. There we go. I mean, it's really thin. So having that ability to just make it so insanely thin is great. I mean, portability, it's here. But let's talk about charging. I mean, obviously you can use your laptop charger, and that's what I do most of the time. I just plug it into my laptop or my laptop charger. And since when I'm not doing heavy powered stuff, I'll just plug it in here to the side port, which does pass-through charging with these little these little guys right here. Right there, sorry, this end. So smart connector allows for pass-through charging, and it works really well. Let's talk about adapters. I mean, obviously I'm a photographer, so I have plenty of adapters. And since the MacBook Pro is also USB-C only, no Thunderbolt, no SD ports or anything like that on my generation, the new ones do, I have a lovely assortment of ports. Not ports, adapters. So let me show you what I got. So, we've got all the adapters that work. So I've got, that's for my phone, but I've got a USB, I've got HDMI, USB, HDMI, and charging, and my SD card one. So I have those, and of course, I mean, there's a lot of reasons that I have those. I mean, obviously it's for my laptop, but just having the ability to just connect basically anything, honestly, to this computer is great. This iPad, excuse me. See, I'm even on their campaign now, even this computer. One thing that you will struggle with you trying to do an iPad only setup, and I'll do a video probably doing a day in the life with the iPad only type thing here in a little bit, is the lack of pro applications for iPad. Of course, we have DaVinci Resolve and full Lightroom for iPad, which is basically Lightroom Classic ported to iPad, but if you're looking for a lot of these other apps, you're not going to see them on the iPad. You're not going to find WhatsApp. You're not going to find as many good apps that are probably on your laptop. I mean, just going through, Affinity is on the iPad. There's not many apps that I use that aren't on the iPad, that are on something else. And so for me, it's great. But I mean, since I'm going to like a Bible school, something like Logos is a lovely resource for like Bibles and all that kind of thing, and that is not available on the iPad, which is sad. But again, this is not a laptop replacement. It has the power. The M1 is insane. They're barely touching the surface of it, and I would like to see a lot of these apps be able to dip into the power of M1 better, because I mean, if you can get the actual power of M1 to an iPad with Thunderbolt like this, it would be insane. One of the biggest shortcomings of iPads and iPadOS these days is the lack of true operating system support. And I mean, iPadOS exists. It's terrible. But yeah, so I'm not gonna get into that. That's a whole other video. So I will catch you guys in the next video. If you like this video, be sure to comment down below. I will see you guys in a little bit.